But hey everybody, Jay Glazer bringing you another edition, episode thingy-majiggy of Guidance by Glazer. We are not getting off to a great filming start these days. My sincere apologies, my camera crew is taking a dive the last couple weeks. But we are back here, and we're going to talk about an interesting topic, something that I am currently heavily involved in, and that is that selling a home, believe it or not, boys and girls, is not an exact science. I know, crazy concept, but an important one, and we're going to discuss exactly what that means. But first, I want to tell you that, first of all, happy Friday. It is a beautiful day in New York City. We are definitely getting into the nice sunny season of town, and it is a beautiful time of year to be in New York City. So for all you watching in other parts of the world, come on down, or up, or east, or west to New York City, and we will show you a very good time. We pretty much do that any time of year, but particularly now, very good time. Anyway, I also want to touch on a quick subject, which is that these videos are completely unscripted. For anybody who's asked me recently how I shoot these videos, there's no script. I see no script. There's no script on the camera. There's nothing. I'm looking here, I'm looking there. This is completely unscripted. This is off the cuff, in my head, product knowledge. For those of you looking and you might have someone who's interested in buying or selling in New York City, we are the real deal. We are very, very focused on what we do, and we are super, super highly educated and highly well informed, I'd like to think. And therefore, if you like what you see and you think we might be a good match for one of your customers or yourself if you're watching this, please keep us in mind, I should say. So, going back to the fact that selling a home is not an exact science, what does that mean? I just want to speak anecdotally for a few minutes about certain experiences I'm currently having and certain experiences I've had in the past that just touch on the fact that this is not a binary business. It is not, this is how it's going to go, this is how it won't go, this is how it is going, this is how it won't go, etc. The reality is every single sale, buy side, sell side, is completely circumstantial. There are so many influences that could affect the process and sale of a home. Necessity, what does necessity mean? Whether someone's pregnant, divorced, death, all of those things. How you price a home can be factored by those things, and the pricing of the home will affect the timeline of things. There are so many influencing factors. There is not an exact science that goes into the sale of a home. And if you're buying a home, the same thing. You might be emotionally connected to a property because you are 6 months pregnant, and therefore you really feel the necessity to purchase something, versus someone who's an investor who's just like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. Therefore, all of the comps and all of the analysis kind of gets thrown out the window when you kind of accept and succumb to the fact that the process of buying a home is not an exact science, that the pricing of a home is not an exact science. The more you realize that this process is a wild and wacky one, the sooner you will be a real player in said marketplace. So one example I want to talk about is something that happened to me, I want to say in 2011, 2012. It was right when the market was really starting to tick up. It was right when owners were really feeling perky that they were going to get really good prices for the home again. We had kind of gotten out of recessionary pricing, and people were feeling like the market was kind of getting there. And I got a listing in the West Village, and for those who don't know, the West Village is one of the more key neighborhoods in New York City. A, because it's just a wonderful place to live. For all you Sex and the City fans out there, you might have seen some streets in some episodes. But it's also a wonderful place to live, and then there's just a completely lack of inventory. The West Village is always a very inventory-low neighborhood. So say you live in San Francisco and you're used to experiencing bidding wars and a complete lack of options. This is very much like that. The West Village is very much a low inventory neighborhood, and typically a good home will sell quickly because there's just not that many options. So I had a home on Horatio Street, which is really a beautiful block, what I like to call the Northwest Village, really the new West Village. The West Village is historically what I would think is below Christopher Street. This is on the northwest quadrant, close to the Meatpacking and the High Line, which is obviously a new feature of New York City over the last decade or so. Anyway, so this home was a special home. It was a garden apartment, private outdoor space, condo, very low carrying costs. I mean, it kind of checked off a lot of bells and whistles for a lot of different people. We staged it, we painted it, we had everything working. We priced it well, so we thought, and everything was working in our favor. We listed the home, and we got showings, open house, showings, open house, showings. People were always calling us to see the home. But 8, 9, 10 weeks go by, and we have nothing. No offers, no bids, nobody who said they're intending on making an offer, nobody who really showed any high level of interest. And the reality is the owners were like, what gives? What are you doing wrong? Of course, if a home doesn't sell, it's the broker who's not doing their job, which is most of the time entirely incorrect. but we won't get into that in this video. Lo and behold, I get a showing request from a couple moving from San Francisco, coincidentally, to the West Village who works at Google. A relatively higher up at Google, which if you know the West Village, this particular apartment was very close to the Google office, so this made a lot of sense for him and his family. He had a wife and I believe 2 kids, if memory serves. Anywho, what happened is they made an offer. Now, they made an offer below the asking price, and of course the owner was like, again, I'm not happy, we priced this to sell, blah, 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 blah. They made an offer, we're negotiating with the offer, a second offer comes in the same week. Then a third offer comes in. We had been on the market for 11 weeks with nothing, and all of a sudden 3 offers came in within 1 week, and we ended up trading that home $150,000 over the asking price. Now, everybody says, I want a bidding war. Bidding wars happen in the first couple weeks. This is a perfect, real example that I experienced as a broker representing a seller of a situation where you could have never paid money to have predicted, you would have never bet that this situation would have happened. You would have never envisioned this happening. We were dead, and then 3 offers within a week. Now, is the law of attraction have something to do with it? Sure. There's a sense of urgency among buyers when someone knows there's a bid on the table. Perhaps it drives other people to make a bid. But the fact of the matter is, 3 offers within a week and then to get $150,000 over the asking price, that shows you that pricing a home and selling a home is anything but an exact science. In many ways, it's a black magic. It's a very, very unusual process. Real estate, for those of you in the finance world, is not the execution of a trade. It is not, this is the stock price, let's buy for high, buy for low, sell for high. This is not that process. There are so many influencing factors, which to me makes real estate both the most wonderful business to be in and also sometimes the most excruciating business to be in, because our brains are wired for binary thoughts. You know, in many ways, it's the artists of the world. We are currently trying to represent an artist who owns a massive warehouse in Gowanus, and he bought this in 1990 something. He was the visionary. He's like, this is the place I can get my space. He bought a home for himself and space for himself from the heart with a feeling. And many times it's the artists of the world who can put the blinders on all of this. This is the value, this is the price per square foot, and all of that mumbo jumbo, and just says, this feels right, this is where the value is, this is where the culture is, and buy a property, and then lo and behold, 20 years later, you're a multimillionaire. So the reality is, that's just one example of many that I have that show you that this process can be very confusing, very uncertain, and you really just need to be mindful of that when you are trying to buy or sell a home. And that's relevant to today because I'm representing certain properties. For example, I have 2 properties in Brooklyn, one of which we had an abundance of interest on, and we are hopefully, knock on wood, signing a contract on that home very soon for a very, very, very healthy price. Quite frankly, it will be a price per square foot record for the building, and I think the owners are going to be very happy, and we were able to generate a lot of interest on that home in just a short period of time. Again, that's that bidding war concept. So for that property, the buy the book process worked as we anticipated. Having said that, I have another home listed where we have a lot of interest, but perhaps not as many people ready to make the jump. And so therefore, you know, the owners are a little bit in the space of, well, how does this make sense? Why hasn't it unfolded this way? And so, you know, one of my real estate coaches, Dove, out there said to me something a number of years ago that stuck deeply with me. He said, you're only really understanding what's happening in the market with your apartment when you are in dialogue with the market. And what does that mean? It means when you go on the market, you will only truly ever fully know exactly where you stand as an exclusive property when you are officially on the market. So taking that back a little, you can hypothesize, you can theorize, you can analyze, you can do all of this analysis and all of this posturing, all of this postulating, I think postulating is the word I'm going for, and all of these, and do all of this analysis just to conclude that you have absolutely no idea what's going to happen when you put the home on the market. What we guarantee on the Glazer team is that we are going to absolutely try to implement the best strategy, the best marketing, the best timing, and the best effort possible to ensure the utmost success of the sale of your home, but we won't really know how the market receives that until we are on the market. So that's something that has been really, really of top of mind for me in the current market climate. As I talked about last week, there are a lot of people bitching about the state of the market and a lot of people saying it's very hard to get a deal done. The reality is, the more you work with someone like ourselves who think about this in this sort of way, who really try to dissect the market and get ahead of the market, ahead of the curve, ahead of the shift, the better position you will be in to win and dominate the marketplace. That's this week's topic. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you have a lovely weekend, and please chime in next week, and please share or comment or drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Ciao.